Hi guys, it's Thursday, April 9th. Tomorrow is Good Friday, and in honor of Good Friday, I'm going to read the story of Jesus' crucifixion to you, starting with Jesus and the disciples praying in the garden. I'm going to read from the Children's Illustrated Bible, and I'll try and hold up the picture so you can see as I read. Jesus and the disciples left the city to go to a quiet garden. Jesus prayed to his Father to look after his disciples and all those who had come to believe in him because of the message they would spread through the word. Then Jesus went to one side, but he took Peter, James, and John with him, asking them to keep him company. He went a little way from them to pray in private. "Father," he cried in anguish, "if it is possible, may I not have to go through this?" Yet his very next words were, "Yet let it not be as I will, but as you will, Father." For Jesus knew that God wasn't making him do anything. He had chosen freely to do it. When he returned to his friends, they were sleeping. "Couldn't you men keep watch with me for just 1 hour?" He sighed. He went again to talk to his Father, but when he returned, the disciples were fast asleep again. This happened once more, and this time when he woke them, he said, "The hour has come. You need to get up, for the one who has betrayed me is here." Here's a picture of the next part. Betrayed with a kiss. A crowd of people burst into the garden, many armed with weapons. At the head of them was Judas Iscariot. He had told the chief priests that he would kiss Jesus so that they would know whom to arrest. And as Judas approached him, Jesus said sadly, "Oh, Judas, would you betray the Son of Man with a kiss?" Peter struck out with his sword, but Jesus told him to put his sword away, and he allowed the soldiers to arrest him. "I am the one you have come to find," he said quietly. "Let these others go. You had no need to come here with swords and clubs. You could have easily taken me when I was in the temple courts." When the disciples realized that Jesus was going to allow himself to be taken prisoner, they fled in fear and despair. Mocked. Jesus was taken away by the soldiers. "Since you are the king of the Jews, let's dress you for the occasion." They mocked, and they dressed him in a purple robe, the color worn by the kings, and put a crown of thorny branches upon his head. Then they beat him and spat in his face before putting him back in his own clothes and leading him through the streets toward Golgotha, the place where he was to be crucified. They made him carry the wooden cross on his back, but it was large and heavy, and Jesus had been dreadfully beaten. When he could do it no longer, they searched someone out of the crowd to carry it for him, and so the dreadful procession made its way out of the city to the hill of Golgotha. Soldiers nailed the hands and feet to the cross and placed above his head a sign saying, "Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews." And they raised the cross. Jesus cried, "Father, forgive them. They don't know what they are doing." 2 thieves were crucified beside him. The first one sneered at him, but the other said, "Be quiet. We deserve our punishment, but this man has done nothing wrong." Then he turned to Jesus and said, "Please remember me when you come into your kingdom." And Jesus promised he would be with him that day in paradise. The guards drew lots to see who would win Jesus' clothes, while the priests and Pharisees taunted him. "If you come down from that cross now, we'll believe in you," they mocked. At midday, a shadow passed across the sun, and darkness fell over the land for 3 long hours. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Jesus cried out in a loud voice, "My God, why have you forsaken me?" And then he gave a great cry, "It is finished." And with these words, he gave up his spirit. At that moment, the earth shook, and the curtain of the holy temple was torn from top to bottom. When the Roman soldiers felt the ground move beneath their feet and saw how Jesus passed away, they were deeply shaken. "Surely he was the Son of God," whispered one in amazement. Because the next day was to be a special Sabbath, the Jewish leaders did not want the bodies left on the crosses. And they asked Pilate to have them taken down. A man named Joseph of Arimathea asked permission to take Jesus' body away. Jesus' friends carefully wrapped the body in linen and spices and placed it in a tomb that Joseph had built for himself. Then they rolled a large stone in front of the entrance to the tomb and sadly left. But the very next day, the chief priest and the Pharisees went to Pilate and asked him to place a guard on the tomb and to seal it, for they remembered that when he was alive, Jesus had said, "After 3 days I will arise." They believed that his disciples might come and steal the body, and then try to persuade the people that he had been raised from the dead. Pilate told them to make the tomb secure, and they did. Early on that first day of the week, before the sun had fully risen, Mary Magdalene and some of the other women went to anoint Jesus' body. As they came near the tomb, the earth shook, the guards were thrown to the ground, and the women saw that the stone had been rolled away from the entrance, and inside the tomb, shining brighter than the sun, was an angel. The terrified women fell to their knees. But the angel said, "Why are you looking for the living among the dead? He is not here, he is risen. Don't you remember that he told you this would happen? Look and see. Then go and tell his disciples that he will meet them in Galilee, as he promised." So the women hurried away to tell the disciples the news, afraid yet filled with joy. Happy Good Friday.